Now we are coming to the most useful aspect of the artifacts. I will define artifacts as part of the value or work we create when applying the Scrum theory or framework. Now we are talking about increment. An increment is a concrete stepping stone toward the product goal. Each increment is additive to all prior increments and thoroughly verified. The word additive here refers to integratable, ensuring that all increments work together. In order to provide value, the increment must be usable. An increment that is functional but not usable is not a useful increment. So take for instance, you make a typical app that should log people out after 10 a.m. but your organization does not even close by 10 a.m. That's a functional increment, but not a usable increment. Since your organization closes by 6 p.m., the appropriate time for automatic logout feature in that ERP that you are trying to deliver should be 7 p.m. Multiple increments may be created within a sprint. The sum of increments is presented at the sprint review, thus supporting empiricism. However, an increment may be delivered to stakeholders prior to the end of the sprint. The sprint review should never be considered a gate to releasing value. So, it is not only at sprint reviews increments are released to the stakeholders. It is an avenue by which we release increments. Remember, I said in my previous class that the sprint review happens to be an event where we deliver the increment, but it is not the only avenue by which increments are delivered. This is why this must be taken note of. The increment happens to be a useful part of your deliverables. If the increment is a useful part of the deliverables, it affects the bottom line of the organization. So at any time we ascertain that we have produced an increment that meets with the definition of done, we should always release the increment pending stakeholders' disposition. It is important here that we contact the product owner to always give us directives on how to go. The product owner is the person who is an intermediary between stakeholders and market, and also stakeholders and the Scrum team. He knows best. He has the pulse of the organization at his fingertips. He knows best how and when the increment can be used or can be kept. Release dates and releasing is something that is at the purview of the product owner. What cannot be considered part of an increment unless it meets the definition of done? Remember that increment is an artifact, and the commitment of the increment is the definition of done. And we said earlier that the definition of done are all the agreed upon features or qualities that stipulates that the work that we have delivered is completed. Now, if an increment does not meet our definition of done or our definition of completeness, that increment cannot be said to have been completed. We just delivered something incomplete.